All right. Can I have everyone's attention? I think we're ready to start. So I'm going to introduce the Godfather, Dave Spitz, first, and have him start because this is his.
My baby.
Your baby.
Yeah. So you guys were exposed to Tobe's assessment. Everybody we ran through relatively quickly what Tobe does in terms of an evaluation. But now what we do with that data is what's important. Okay, so you guys have all had different functional movement screens over the years. And oftentimes, you just get retested, and sometimes you get better at the test, but it doesn't really affect change in your body. And so what our aim is to create a full, comprehensive plan for your body. And then as you see Tobe, he's going to test and retest and make sure that we're continuing to make progress across these domains of improvement that we've identified. I can't say enough about what Tobe is capable of doing from a manual therapy standpoint. I mean, he's helped countless number of athletes, our athletes, get out of pain, become more functional, just continue to achieve at a high level. But what a lot of people don't really realize is as he's working on your body, he's working on your mind too. And so when you guys go to see Tobe, I want you to be an open book and listen to some of the wisdom that he has to convey. So he's got a lot of really interesting thoughts on how to approach your sport from a healthy place, how to enjoy the process, and I think that the talk that he's going to give today is definitely going to kind of enlighten you guys as to what that looks like. And your journey with Tobe is going to be, I hope, as fruitful and as amazing as everybody else that has ever encountered him. So you guys are really lucky to have this as a resource, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of our team.
Thank you, Dave. Well, first of all, I want to say how I'm very, very grateful that I hooked up with Dave, and it was probably because of some of the combine athletes last year that I had worked with at Stanford, and this is like a dream for me to work with you guys, because if you think about it, you are now training for how much? How long is it? 2 months? 3 months?
Yeah.
3 months. 3 months. You're not training to be the best you could possibly be, to reach your dream, to play in the NFL. And you don't want to leave any stone unturned. You want to do everything you can. You want to be able to, when you finish this thing, look yourself in the mirror and say, I did everything I could. And that's what this is about, because Dave has for years had a proven method in how to improve strength, speed, agility. I have for years worked with both sports injury rehabilitation, but also prevention and also performance. And I have worked and studied athletes and how they work for years. So what is this presentation about? This presentation is about teaching an ancient method called WoE of Excellence, which is a never-ending pursuit of greatness. So this is basically a formula for success. When it teaches you step-by-step techniques, how do I conduct myself to make sure that I use my time to do everything I can to be the best I could possibly be. So, WoE of Excellence comes from philosophy from ancient Chinese, originated over 5,000 years ago. Ancient scholars and monks found a way to discover balance and harmony for excellence and health in life. So this ancient wisdom teaches the WoE of excellence, both how to be as well as what and when to do in harmony with our surroundings and our circumstances. So these are really the key things: how to be and what to do and when to do it. It's all about timing. So in this ancient Chinese medicine or philosophy, they also talk about 5 elements, and those 5 elements have all the secrets for well-being, health, performance, happiness in life. Basically, think of it this way: purpose, joy, peace of mind, acceptance, and learn from the experience. the ability to relax, recover, and start over again. So this is a never-ending journey. What is my purpose? Do I have joy in my everyday labor? Do I have peace of mind? Can I accept the outcome of what I did and learn from it? Remember what I learned, reflect, and go back and do it better. And every day, just get better. So basically then what we're talking about, from this ancient Eastern wisdom, we're going to move to modern day sports performance and sports psychology. And how do I get to this point? Well, I've been working for 36 years in this field. I have a degree in acupuncture, study Eastern philosophy, acupuncture, acupressure, trigger point therapy, kinesiology, sports medicine. Probably have over 140,000 patient visits, and have been working with athletes for the last 30 years. I've been working with San Jose Sharks for the last almost 20 years, and I've been working with Stanford football now for 4 years. And now I'm working with you guys and Dave and Combine athletes. And I work with a number of MMA artists, fighters. I was at the fight, the Nate Diaz fight in Madison Square Garden. He flew me out there, and that was a great experience. Unfortunately, the result wasn't what we were hoping for. The fight was stopped, if you watched it. But what we're going to talk about here is what I've learned over this journey, because I'm trying to live this myself. I'm trying to every day be better today than I was yesterday, because it's a never-ending pursuit for excellence. And when Christian McCaffrey called me after the 2015 season, he had a monster year, his sophomore year. I don't know how much you follow that, but he said he broke Barry Sanders' record. In the Rose Bowl, he had a record over 100 yards receiving and rushing, and he was the runner-up for the Heisman Trophy, which I think he should have won, which was a crime. But Christian contacted me and said that he felt banged up and he needed some help. So this was after the season, and I started working with Christian, both with his physical body, but also with struggles he had about his performance and how things were going, and frustration and so on. And Christian asked me to come to Stanford on Sundays after the game. So I started to come and work on, and I don't know who selected who I worked on. I imagine that it was strength and conditioning coach Turley or something. But I saw about anywhere from 1 to 5, about 5 to 6 athletes every Sunday, and it was really fun. And in this process, I started to teach those principles. So the book that you have in front of you, that is your copy, is basically then came from me working with Christian and his teammates in that 2016 season. And that's what this is about. Ancient Eastern wisdom, revealing the secrets to modern day athletic peak performance and how to be in the zone. So this athlete's way of excellence is a method to master a skill and to enjoy the process. This was developed by ancient Shaolin priests and Zen monks thousands of years ago. And if you know anything about the ancient Shaolin priests, they were practicing Kung Fu. The true meaning of the word Kung Fu, the Chinese word Kung Fu, is 2 characters, Kung and Fu. Kung means skillful work or endeavor. Fu means time spent. So, to practice Kung Fu in a true sense is to spend time perfecting a skill, any skill. Now, I could start talking about old ancient prophets, Confucius, and others that spoke about this, but it wouldn't mean anything to you. So I prefer to speak about a more modern teacher of the way, which is Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was a Kung Fu grandmaster, a martial art icon, a movie star, philosopher, and also a student and teacher of the way. And his books are still living on. Many athletes are reading them, and he talks about how to be in the way, how to perform in excellence, how to grow. So this is a paraphrase of what Bruce Lee said. Kung Fu is an integral part of the philosophies of Tao and Zen. To commit to mastery of a skill or an art. To strive to do better each and every day. To engage wholeheartedly and learn from one's mistakes in a never-ending process. The key is never-ending process, because I never reach mastery. Kung Fu teaches the way to life. So basically, this principle is how to master life and how to master anything. And it means that you have to be clear on a commitment. You strive to do better every day. You learn from your mistakes. You get better every day in this never-ending process. The great ones, and I had the honor to work with Jerry Rice as a patient of mine. The great ones, athletes who commit to a never-ending strive for greatness, way of excellence. Now, it's not like Jerry Rice had studied the way of excellence. Some athletes just have this. Now, people would say about Jerry Rice and Christian McCaffrey that they had great talent, they had great genetics, that they grew up in a great family. But if you know either one of them, you also know that they work harder than anyone else. And they never stop working. And they constantly want to be better. Jerry Rice, on every practice, kept running the ball all the way in for a touchdown, even if it was 70 yards of running, every play. Christian woke up every morning to compete in the morning competition. I don't think he ever lost. And he was also an honor scholar. Those are people that constantly strive for this. And this is not anything that is given to you genetically. This is in your heart and in your gut. This is your desire. And the question is if you have it. And when you know about those things, how do you apply those steps? Because the art of being in the zone, notice this, being in the zone. You're not doing the zone. Dave could teach you guys how to do a proper lift, how to sprint, how to cut, how to run, mechanics. But how do you teach someone how to be in the zone? It's not something you do, it's being. And this is how to be. So what is the zone? Athletic peak performance is brilliant. It takes place in a state of peace and grace. It is never forced or tense. It happens automatically without thinking. The individual often states that it felt like time slowed down and all their senses were heightened. The experience is euphoric, and every athlete who has experienced this state wants to experience it again. You guys have all experienced this at time. The thing is, do you know how you experienced it? And how can you make sure you experience it more frequently? Because that's really the key. Why doesn't people talk more about that? How do I get in the zone? Now, even if you play an instrument, if you're an artist, if you create, you're in the zone. But maybe you're in nature and see a beautiful sunset and you're just in awe, you're in the zone. Making love to your girlfriend, you're not thinking about anything else, you're in the zone. If you think about something else, it's not very good. So you have this zone, which is this state when you're not thinking about anything else than what's going on right now. And why is that important? Because we are training you guys to be the best you could be. Being in the zone is not being in the zone on game day. How could you be in the zone if you go to the combine or if you have your pro day? So you heard about those terms, flow, be like water, the zone. These are all a state of being. And that's what you want to learn. You want to learn, how can I put myself in that state of mind? So the zone is when you're being intensely aware of what you're doing in that instant. The zone is a space where time and self does not exist. The zone is where one is carefree of pressure from expectations. So how can you be like this if you're on the combine or if you're on pro day? Because you know everyone is looking at you, poking at you, judging you, timing you. How can you be carefree from pressure and expectations? Because if you are, then you're going to perform much better. And the moment you start thinking about the outcome, you're not performing as good anymore. The moment you start worrying about what they think, you're not doing as good anymore. The moment you start thinking about messing up, you're going to mess up. So this is what we're talking about. The zone, finding this, training the mind, learning this, understanding this. Before, you just got in the zone accidentally. You didn't know how you did it. It just happened. And you didn't know what it was called. You just liked it. Now, I want you to start studying and practice, how can I get to that state? It's going to enhance everything you do. What about this? A 1-foot putt in golf. Anyone here playing golf? 1, 2. Anyone, 3. Anyone played miniature golf? So any athlete could make a 1-foot putt. It's not that hard. If you have any athletic ability and you practice, you could do it. But then let's say someone is there that you really want to impress, and you start thinking about what they think about you. Now it gets a little harder. What about if that 1-foot putt is to win the Masters? $4 million, put on the green jacket, to be known for history forever. What happened? How do you manage to stay in the zone then? It's still the same distance, 1 foot, the same grass, the same club, the same ball. What changed? It's the Masters where when I practice myself. The only thing that changed is your state of mind and what you're thinking about. And the moment you start thinking about the outcome, then you're not in the zone anymore. And you're not going to perform in excellence anymore. So the best athletes are able to be in the zone, in the Super Bowl, or at the Olympics, or on the combine. Or Erik Karlsson, for example, he's another patient of mine and friend of mine. He has signed for the Sharks 11 million guaranteed per year for 8 years. And Erik Karlsson, he says this all the time. You play with the same looseness in game 12 of the regular season as you do in overtime of game 7 in a playoff game. And I've seen this guy. Everyone is freaking out, nervous, and he's just like nothing, just creating. Now, and I talk to Erik about this often because he doesn't think about this. He has just found the way of doing this himself. It's natural to him. Some athletes find this, but if you haven't found it, what about if you could learn how to find it? So the Chinese call this state Wu Xin, letting go of self-consciousness and excessive, never-ending chatter in your head. You know that voice in your head that never shut up? And if you say to yourself right now, I don't have a voice in my head, that's the voice I'm talking about. So that voice, that crazy roommate that's always messing things up, is the one that's like, what about this, what about that, what if you miss, or do this, and start thinking. You cannot do all that thinking. You got to get into that state when there is no mind. This is not the state when you think too much or try too hard. This is a state of no mind, quiet mind, where you just go with the flow. Be like water. Be like water, making it sway through the cracks. This is Christian's favorite Bruce Lee quote. And as you all know, Christian is a big Bruce Lee fan. So this whole thing of being in the zone is kind of like being the center of the wheel. You're in the game, you're at the combine, things are flying around you, things are going on. Your mind is want to go 100 miles an hour. How can you find that quiet space? Because you need to become the center of the wheel. The center of the wheel is completely still even when the wheel seems to spin completely out of control. So we're going to talk about this in the book or exercises. Those of you that are interested in this, I'll be more than willing giving you ideas on how to practice this, because the more you could practice this, you could be in the zone. You could quiet your mind. And you could perform better. So it is possible to instantly get in the zone with one deep breath. Has anyone seen a martial art movie with Bruce Lee or anyone else? It's kind of almost comical. 10 guys jump up and going to fight them, you know, and they got knives and they got freaking axes and swords and whatever. And what is the first thing you see Bruce Lee or that martial artist do before they start fighting? No. I mean, you see them do something like this, but it's also an act, and you see them taking a deep breath. Because with that deep breath, you could quiet your mind. Because what if 10 guys come at me with knives, bats, swords, whatever, and say, oh my God, this guy comes over and this guy has an axe and that guy. No, it's just in the zone. Block, kick, punch, boom. Be like water. You just go with it. You can't think. That's how you, and you guys have all experienced that one time or another when you played. There was that moment. If you all look back at your best sport experience, you remember that time when you were in the zone. You want to be able to reproduce that. So, for example, and it's in the book, you can, with one deep breath, when all craziness is happening around you, even, I've told many players to do that, when you're in the huddle, and oh my God, what are they doing? Could you just, and then just respond, not think. You know, you practice so many times, it's all the thinking that gets you in trouble. Obsessive, excessive thinking. And that's something that could be trained, learning how to put yourself in the zone through practice. So, when you are aware, and this is the key thing, because most people are not aware of it right now, is there a lot of talking going on in your head right now? Is there a lot of distractions going on right now? Or are you completely locked in on this presentation? Aware, when you're aware of negative emotions and excessive mental chatter in yourself, you could restore peace of mind with one deep diaphragmatic breath. To find that peace, that center of the wheel, the center of the storm. There's a story, and I'm pretty good on time, so I want to tell this. Joe Montana, in the Super Bowl against the Bengals, there was 2 minutes left. It was the 2 minutes warning. He was on the sideline talking to Bill Walsh and walking back to the huddle where his player was standing on the 20-yard line. One of the linemen was a rookie lineman, and he was nervous. He was throwing up in the huddle. On Joe Montana's way back to the huddle, he walked across the field. And when he got to the huddle and he saw his teammates, he said to them, hey, guys, did you guys see John Candy sitting on the 50-yard line? And they was, what? And that guy that was so nervous that he was just all into famous people, he'd been throwing up. He said, what? Joe Candy? And then everyone just, okay, this is what we're going to do. And I worked on Joe Montana, and I asked him, is this story true? He says, yeah, it was true. I said, what are you thinking about when you're walking back there to the huddle? Are you nervous? No, I've done that play so many times. So you were just checking out who was sitting in the stands? Yeah. He was present in the zone. Oh, that's Joe Candy. They come back, and he sees his play. They're all stressed out. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Now, as you know, they did win that Super Bowl. All right, so this ancient philosophy, the secret way to success, the formula to success, is explained as a metaphor. Metaphor is telling a story using figurative language or symbols. That's to make it easier to understand. So we're telling a story to illustrate something. And the metaphor that is used is the metaphor of the 4 seasons. So basically you have spring, summer, fall, winter. This makes a whole cycle. This is a complete cycle of time. But it doesn't have to be a calendar year. It could be a day, morning, day, evening, night, making 24 hours. Or it could be the time from when you came into this presentation to after the presentation. It could be the time you enter in the building of the combine to where you exit. It is any time frame. And in that time frame, there's going to be a spring or a morning or a beginning. It's going to be a summer, a day, a time of action. There's going to be a result or an evening or a harvest. And then there's going to be a reflection and learning and remembering from that. And it is important that you're in this zone right here, right now, being grounded in each stage. Because many people are here, but they're worrying about this. Do you see what I'm saying? Or they're here and they worry about this. Or they're here and they regret this. So the key is to learn to be in that stage, knowing what your job is. So this is basically a metaphor of time. And in life, everything has to do with timing, doing the right thing at the right time. So, as I told you, this is teaching you what to do and how to be. So, in spring, you plant. In the summer, you water and weed the field to make sure that the seed could grow. In fall, you harvest. In winter, you store and preserve. And then you start over again. This is a metaphor. Now, you make a decision, you make a commitment, you get into action, you labor in love, you get a result and an outcome, you learn from it, you remember what you learned, and next day you go out and you try to better your seed and do it better. Do you follow me? And you need to be present, so when you plant, you're thinking only about decision and commitment. When you water and weed, you think about doing what you're doing and being into what you're doing. When you harvest, you focus on what you learn, and when you store and preserve, you focus on remembering and reflect what you learn. And then you are in the zone. You cannot plant in the winter, that's too early. The ground is frozen, there's snow. You cannot plant in the summer, it's too late. You cannot water and weed in the spring because there's nothing planted, and you cannot water and weed in the fall because it's too late. You cannot harvest in the summer because it's not ready, and you cannot harvest in the winter because it's spoiled on the field. So it's about doing the right thing at the right time. There's 24 hours in a day. Do you know what to do your job? Every minute of the day. So that 3 months from now, you could be at your best. That's what this is about. So for the athlete then, this is if you only learn this, walk away from this, then you learned a lot. Basically, there's 4 stages. Commitment. Then I compete. Then I learn. Then I retain what I learn. Then I commit. Then I compete. Then I learn. Then I retain what I learn. If I do this all the time, I'm going to get better and better and better. That's all there is. And I need to be in this zone. So this means commit to every repetition of lifting. Commit to every repetition of running. Compete, be into it, engage, love it. Not thinking, oh, how much longer is it? When are we going to be done? Because then you're not here, you're thinking about being done. Learn means, how can I learn from what happened, even if I'm disappointed? Because if I always learn something, I'm always going to get better. And how can I remember what I learned so I don't have to do the same lesson over again? And be in the zone when you do this. This is athletes' never-ending commitment to excellence. If you apply this to your life, whether you play football or whatever you do, you're just going to get better and better. I try to live by this. I try to be better as a therapist, better as a teacher, every single day. With my own health, with my own fitness, I try to do it every single day. And I'm going to be 60 on my next birthday, and I'm in my life's best shape. Anyone could do this once you understand it. And you guys have all heard about the Patriots. Some people hate the Patriots, some people like the Patriots. But whatever, it looks like the reign might be over. But for many, many years, they were known for the Patriot way, which was to do your job. Everyone talks about that. But do you know what your job is? Do you know what your job is right now? What's your job right now, when you sit here right now? To learn as much as you can and see if there's anything you could use. Every minute of every day for 3 months, what's your job? When they talk about do your job, you know, an amazing thing, so Antonio Brown comes over and you know what the instruction he is. Did that affect any of the Patriots players? No. They asked them questions, well, that's not my job, that's someone else's job. Each player know what their job was. The coach didn't ask them to do more than what their job was, and everyone did their job and they didn't worry about anything else. But doing your job is not only in the study room or on the practice field or during the game. It is when you talk to the media, when you eat, and when you sleep, and how you conduct yourself. Do your job. Do you know what that means to do your job? So if you think about it, this way of excellence is when you know what to do, then you know how to do your job. Which means do that which is in priority, in season right now. Do that which you have control over right now. And make sure you're completely in the zone with a quiet mind. Focus only on that. This is also explained by parable. A parable is a story that teaches a lesson. So the parable that is used in this explanation is the same one as used in the Bible. The parable of the seed. As you sow, so shall you reap. What does that mean? That means that whatever you think, say, or do has a consequence. It's like a seed you plant. What is the purpose of a seed? Does anyone have an idea? What's the purpose of a seed? To grow, to bloom, to bear fruit, and to multiply. If I plant one seed, I don't plant to get one seed back. I get 100-fold or 1,000-fold back. Isn't that right? If I was a farmer, if I plant one seed, if I would get one seed back, why would I do all that labor? I better have those few seeds I have and make a loaf of bread or eat something. But when I plant a seed, it will grow, it will bloom, it will bear fruit, and on that fruit there are more seeds, which means you grow. This is how you are as a human being. Your purpose is to grow, bloom, and bear fruit in whatever you do. And right now, I assume that your purpose is to be a football player. So how can you grow? How could you bloom? How could you continue to multiply and get better? How could you do that every day? So what it means is every action you take, everything you think, say, or do is a seed planted. Every action or lack of action has a reaction and consequences. That means what you're thinking. There is no such a thing as idle thoughts. Do you know that? Every thought is either going to help you grow or it's going to sabotage your growth. And you have to be the one that kind of stay on top of those thoughts. And you have to get rid of the thoughts that are not serving the purpose, that require an awareness, that you're present in this moment. So success or failure, there's no coincidences. There's always cause and effect. There's always action and reaction. So now, let's talk about the different stages of the metaphor. The metaphor of spring, or we could say morning. Let's make it easy. Let's just take a day. But it could be every set, every repetition, every workout, every week. But let's say it's every day. You start the day with desire and commitment. Desire and commitment. What is your desire? You wake up, oh, I'm tired, I'm aching. What's your desire for today? What is your commitment? Desire is the fuel that makes you go. And you need to have the desire. Could tell you one thing, Christian McCaffrey had one hell of a desire. It can't be your parents, your coach, or your teammates' desire. That's why it's very important that you play football now. You play because you want to be a football player. And you want to be the best football player you could be. Desire should be the reason why you're playing your sport. If you only play because you want to make money, then you're just pimping yourself. It's nice to be paid. Everyone wants to be paid. But when you do something you love, then the payment becomes just a nice side benefit. So the desire is the reason why you're playing the sport. The desire is every morning. The desire is why you're here right now. The desire is whether you listen to what I'm saying right now or not. So what is it important to have desire? Desire to have fun. It has to be fun. You're playing a game. What's the purpose of playing a game? Desire to get challenged. Imagine if you never were challenged. If you won all the time, it'd be boring. Desire to compete. Be excited to compete. Be excited to be challenged. Desire to continuously get better. Desire to grow. Desire to master a sport and to realize that this is a never-ending purpose. Let's say that you go for this combine. Let's say you sign a contract. Let's say you get first round, second round, third round, you get a big contract. Are you done? No. There's people that sign a contract and they're gone after. You never get done. As long as you desire to master your sport, it continues to go on and on and on. Some guys, and this is the sad thing, because I've seen this both with the Sharks, I even seen it with Stanford's player, and I've seen it with football players, NFL players. Some guys, once they reach the NHL or the NFL or the college Division A team, figure, oh, I've arrived. And then they get comfortable. But then you're not growing anymore. Then you're not challenging yourself anymore. Then you're not alive anymore. If you're not growing, you're not alive. You're slowly dying. Parts of you are dying. So this is a never-ending purpose. As long as you desire to master football, you continue to work on those principles. One day maybe you say, I don't desire football anymore. That's fine. Then you commit to something else. And you use the same approach for that. So a commitment or a decision is the metaphoric act of planting a seed. Commit to a purpose. The difference between purpose and a goal, this is very, very important. In Western society, we are very goal-oriented. In Eastern philosophy, they talk about purpose. There's a big difference between purpose and goal. A goal is linear and has an end. A purpose is cyclical and never-ending. Why is that different? Well, I'm going to show you. Here is a goal. I start here. And when I get to this finish line here, I win, in quotation marks. But this is how people think, oh, I'm here with Dave to train. This training, it's killing me. I can't wait for it to be over. I can't wait to get done. I can't wait for this workout to be over. I can't wait for this week to be over. I come here to the gym in the morning, say to people, how are you doing? Oh, okay for a Monday. Have you heard people say that, okay for a Monday? That means then that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is just a means to an end to get to Friday. People say, happy Friday. And I say, why is Friday happier than any other day? Oh, I don't have to work anymore. What do you mean you don't have to work? I mean, you shouldn't think of work as something you have to. Do you have to go and train at the combine here? Or do you want to do it? So when people think of a goal, they think that once I get to this point, then I'm done. But you know what happened? Once Friday comes, it never lasts. Before you know it, it's Monday again. When the set is over, there's another set. When the day is over, there's another day. When I finish the combine or the pro day and I get with the pros, there's another workout. And then there's another. I will never get done. So if I think I'm going to get happy when I get here, one of three things is going to happen. Either I don't get here, or it takes a lot longer to get there than I thought, or I get there and it never lasts. Do you see what I'm saying? And then I can only be happy when I get here, and I either don't get here or it never lasts, then I'm never happy. So what's the difference then with a purpose? A purpose is never ending. Desire, commitment, action, compete, resolve, learn, retain, recover, and go back out again. Morning, day, evening, night. Spring, summer, fall, winter. One season, next season. One day, next day. 1 week, next week. It's a never-ending journey. You have to get to the point where you enjoy the journey. And you have to get to the point, well, right now, what is my desire? What is my commitment? Am I competing? Am I engaged? What do I learn when things are not going my way? How can I make sure I recover so I could go back and do it better tomorrow? So each and every morning for you now, recommit to a never-ending purpose. Commit to mastery of running the 40 yards, of the start, of the cutting, of the running, of the lifting. Commit to lift more to get stronger. Commit to have fun. Commit to compete. Commit to get better every day. Okay. Each and every morning, commit and challenge yourself to be better than yesterday. This is doing your job. Set daily incremental goals, not too high and not too low. What does that mean? That means in flow, which you probably heard about, there's a formula. The formula for flow is that there's a balance between skill and challenge. If Dave would give you challenges that you couldn't make, you guys would be discouraged and depressed or anxious and stressed out. If he gave you challenges that were so easy, then you'd be bored. His job is to raise the bar. And your job is to, when Dave or someone else is not there leading the training, to raise your own bar. But not raise it so high so you can't make it, and not raise it so low so it's too easy. Because that's why you play the game. You want that thing where you can make it, but you're not 100% sure you're going to make it. And that's what you need to do every morning. So you wake up every morning, how could I raise the bar a little bit today? And then I try to make it. You're not going to make it every day, but you're going to keep making it more often than not, if you're not setting the goals so high that they're not possible to reach now. But it's the same thing of training a muscle. So I start with the 25-pound dumbbells. Next week I could do the 30-pound dumbbells. And next week I do the 35-pound dumbbells. My muscle is growing because it's getting stronger and I keep raising the weight. You raise the bar. So, it is important for you guys to get clear on what your purpose is. And even when you don't play football anymore, what's your purpose then? Because the purpose is the meaning of life. And everyone that finds a purpose is happier. And remember, what's the purpose of the seed? To grow, to bloom, to bear fruit, and to multiply. To me, that's what the purpose is for us as human beings too, regardless of what we choose to do. I could be a barista at Starbucks and be the best damn barista there is. And just love to service people and be nice to people and freaking just every day try to be a better barista, if that brings me joy. Doesn't matter what you choose to do. So next, the metaphor of summer, which is the daytime. Enjoy challenge and competition. Every day, you can't be, oh much, how many more sets? Oh, how much longer? Oh, this is killing me. Oh, I can't wait for this to be over. Then you're not into it. Imagine you're making love to your girlfriend. Oh, how much longer is this going to go on? Oh, I can't wait for this to be over. It wouldn't be very good, would it? This is kind of what it is. It is the flower and the bees. What is the flower and the bees? It's like lovemaking. Every practice should be a labor of love, not a means to an end. A labor of love. You love what you do and you do what you love. And that means that you are authentically engaged. Not that you're, and you enjoy and believe in what you're doing. See, this is what makes it so beautiful, because the master doesn't know the difference between working and playing. It's the same to him. And here's Steph Curry. And Steph Curry kind of revolutionized basketball, if you think about it. No one would 20 years ago jump up and take a shot at mid-court. But what happened? Steph Curry, been practicing shooting. If someone ever counted how many shots he shot, I can't even imagine how many shots he shot. But he practiced shooting, he practiced shooting, he practiced shooting, and then in the middle of the game, at some point, he was in the zone, he pulled up, he was on mid-court, and he says, and he has to throw. He has to throw the ball. People, what the heck is he doing? He's throwing the ball from mid-court. And he made 3 points. People say, that's crazy, you can't do that. Look now kids are coming out in college and high school making crazy 3-shoot shots. Because they all start practicing now. And then you get in the zone and you just believe, and you practice so many times, and you see the hoop and you just believe, and boom, and there it goes. When you get in the zone. So what are you doing? You're doing repetitions of deliberate practice with Dave in how to start your 40-yard sprint. In the first 10 yards, you form your mechanics, and you're supposed to repeat that over and over and over, like Karate Kid, like wax on, wax off, until it becomes automatic. And then you just there at the combine, you get yourself in the zone, and then you just go and do it. You run effortless. You run like the wind. You lift. You just do it. That's the goal. So here's another example. Dave Ortiz, Big Papi, and in 2016 he was 40 years old. 2015 season was not that good. He had become almost like a designated hitter. He was no longer a starting first baseman. And he said, you know what, I'm going to retire in 2016. And he said, yeah, I'm just going to have fun. I'm just going to stop worrying, I'm just going to have fun. And to everyone's amazement, he had one of his best seasons. I think he even became the MVP at the All-Star game. And he hit 38 home runs. And he played way better. And what's the difference? What's the difference between the year before and that year? He's getting older, he's getting slower, but his mindset changed. He stopped worrying and just play and have fun. And he played better. So the key in this whole thing with summer is to enjoy the process, to be into it, to engage, to get in the zone. So do you guys know the true definition of compete? If you look this up in Webster's dictionary, this is what it says. Compete, to strive for something that is desired. Competing is not about winning. It's about striving to win. You guys see the difference? Competing is not about winning, because if I'm thinking about winning when I'm competing, I'm not present. It's about striving to win. It's about the process, not the outcome. And that's all you have control of. You strive to do better in every set. You strive to lift more in every lift. You strive to run faster every time. And striving to get a little bit better every day, compete authentically, engaged, enjoying getting challenged, and enjoying to compete. Summer then also stands for water and reading. So if you think about this, this is a metaphorical water and reading. So watering is having a positive attitude, thinking positive, encouraging yourself, encouraging your teammates. Weeding is weeding out the negative, what you don't want. It's very easy to get negative thoughts. You need to pluck them and get rid of them. It's important to water the positive and to believe in what you're doing. And so the whole thing is the glass half full or half empty. What's the difference between a half full and a half empty glass? What's the difference?
Mindset.
What?
Mindset.
Mindset. But one more thing. What's the difference? It's the exact in the middle of the glass. The difference is your perception. The difference is whether you could focus on what's good about this or whether you're going to focus about what's bad about this. And your job is to constantly focus on what's good about this. You're going to run into some obstacles. You're going to run into where you hit a wall. You're going to run into where you're tired. You're going to run into where you almost feel like, oh, I almost want to quit. How can you find something positive? How can you water the positive? How could you weed out the negative? And then to find joy in what you're doing. Like I said, the master does not know the difference between working and playing. It's a never-ending. It's not like one day I'm going to get there and the sky is going to open up and the angels are going to sing and everything is going to be fine and I don't have to do anything anymore. Maybe that would be heaven. I don't know. But it's not going to happen here. So, the metaphor or harvest is fall or evening. And at the end of the day, learn and move on. So if you think about it, learning is a form of accomplishment. Learning is a harvest. So the result and outcome of any repetition, the result and outcome of any lift, the result and outcome of any testing on the 40-yard dash is your harvest. In other words, that's the result. You can't control winning at all times. You can, however, control your desire, your commitment, enjoying to compete, doing your best, and always learn from what you did. You're not going to run faster every single time you run. If that happened, it would be boring. You're not going to win every time you play. If you always won and you could blindfold yourself, tie one arm behind your back and you still win, it would be boring to play. But you can control your desire, your commitment, you enjoying to compete, doing your best, and if you always focus on what you learn, then you always accomplish something. If you always learn something, then you get a little bit better. This is one of the things that I talk to Christian about. Accept the result, learn and mature. Profit and learn from every experience regardless of the circumstances. Then you win. This was Christian after the first game, they lost. And I just love that he has said, learn and grow. On to the next. That's all you have any control over. So a goal is not always supposed to be reached. You're going to set daily goals on how much to lift, on how fast to run, on how to do things. But you're not always going to reach it. Bruce Lee said, sometimes a goal is just something to aim for. And you keep getting closer. And if you shoot for the stars and reach the moon, you still got ahead. And if you keep moving forward, reload and shoot again, you're going to get further. If you always learn something, you always accomplish something, you're always moving forward. And so that's the whole concept with this. You always do your best and you learn. Do you think that you always do your best? Do you guys think you always do your best? Is there anyone here that deliberately tried to fail? Anyone deliberately tried to disappoint their teammates, their coaches, themselves? Is there anyone here that beat themselves up when they're not doing so good? When you beat yourself up, do you say things, oh, I should have done that. Ah, I should have done this. I should have done better. Oh, why didn't I cut there? Or why didn't I block there? Or why didn't I do this? Or do you guys have you guys had those thoughts? So think about this. When you were in the action, did you know about doing what you in hindsight realized that you should do? In other words, isn't it true that when you look at something in hindsight, I should have done this, I should have done that. Isn't it true if you would have thought of this or that when you were doing it, that you would have done it? So if you didn't do it, that means you were either not aware of it, didn't know it, had forgotten about it, or were distracted. Which means you did the best you could based on the circumstances and the state of mind you had. Do you follow me? If you keep beating yourself up, you're not learning anything. So everyone is doing their best based on their circumstances at that time. If they learn from it, they still accomplish something and they're going to get better. Imagine, it's kind of like I'm telling a blind person, can't you see? Well, I'm blind. Well, everyone could see that, you idiot. When you're not consciously aware of something, you can't do it. And you can't, in retrospect, go back and say, you idiot, couldn't you see? No, I didn't see. But if you write down what you learn, and you remember what you learn, you're going to do better, and you're going to be a better athlete. So, this is some of the things Christian said. You never lose. There's something to learn and grow from every situation. And if you think about that, and you keep reminding yourself about that, and you focus on what you learn, then you're controlling everything you can control. And you get a little bit better all the time. So sport is like playing cards. Anyone here playing cards? Okay. When you play cards, sometimes you lose with great cards, and sometimes you win with bad cards. But you never know for sure. Playing a game, you might be favorites, but you might still lose. You might be the underdog, but you might still win. That's why you play the game. If you know the outcome before that you're going to make it all the time, it wouldn't be fun to play. No one would play. So learn and move on. That is doing your job. When you beat yourself up, you're not doing your job. Because then you're either a martyr or a victim. So you could think for yourself whether you're the martyr or the victim. The martyr is the one that beat themselves. Oh, I'm an idiot. Oh, I suck. Oh, I hate myself. Oh, I'm such a freaking loser. That's the martyr. The victim says, oh, it's because the ref, it's because the coach, it's because our quarterback sucked, it's because the guy wasn't blocking, it's because of this, it's because of the weather. That's the victim. But the person that takes responsibility focus on, okay, did I do my best based on what I know? Yes. What did I learn? Good. I'm going to be better for it. So find acceptance. Accept the outcome, learn and move on. It is possible to lose and act like a winner, and it is possible to win and act like a loser. So the metaphor of winter, which is night, which stands for shutting down, rest, and recover. A lot of athletes has a problem with this. They don't think it's important. And you're going to see when you come and see me, many of you, some of your injuries you have is because of this. So there's two nervous systems in your body, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is fight and flight, I'm sure you heard about it. The parasympathetic is rest and recover. Balance is needed for health and performance. Video games stimulate fight and flight. It is true, it could put you in the zone and you could quiet that voice in your head. But if you do video games late at night and you make yourself all amped up, then the quality of your sleep is not going to be so good. So nighttime is time to unplug, unwind, and sleep. And if you're not getting good sleep, then you're not doing your job. Because it's when you sleep, your body is repairing itself. And with your hard training, you're breaking down muscle cells. And if you don't have good quantity and quality of sleep, you're not able to repair yourself, and you're not going to be able to last. What about this? Do you leave your phone on at night? Many people have the phone on. The last thing they do before they go to bed, they look at the phone, they put the phone next to the bed, the phone is still on. The first thing they do when they wake up, they check their phone. And at night, you hear beeps or clicking or vibrating when there's emails or text messages coming. And this is actually stimulating you. It's not helping you relax. When cell phones first started coming, I had people that were type A personality that came to see me, and I'm working on them, on their muscles, and you know how when you hit that trigger point, how it hurts. And when their cell phone was ringing on the side of the table, and I'm working on the point, it started hurting more because they were tensing up. And I could feel in their body how they were tensing up. People get so worried they're going to miss something, and they keep checking all the time, that they're not present. Because what's your job at night? It is to shut down, to relax, to recover. A lot of people have a hard time turning off. They have a hard time to relax. They're waking up feeling achy or tired. They have a hard time falling asleep, or they keep waking up. Then they're not recovering as good as they should. So sleep, quantity and quality, is important. And if you don't feel rested when you wake up, then you're not fully recovered. If you're not fully recovered, you're not getting better, you're plateauing, and you're going to start getting worse, or you're going to get injured, or both. And food. I tell people that you need to start thinking of food as fuel, not pleasure for your taste buds. Now, it's good if it's good fuel and tastes good, but if the number one criteria is that it tastes good and it's not good for you, then you're not helping yourself. Because food is the building blocks you need. You need protein to be able to repair those muscle cells that are broken down in your hard training. And protein gets broken down to amino acids, which the body helps to rebuild and repair and build up stronger muscles. So food is the building blocks you need to get better, stronger, and faster. And you need to start thinking in terms of that, of eating on regular set times, making sure you get protein, because otherwise you're shortchanging yourself. How could you build a house if you don't have enough building blocks or concrete? And water, this is a huge thing, hydration. The body is made of 60% of water. When you exercise hard and you sweat, your muscles contract, you get dehydrated, you could get injured. And so normally people should drink 2 liters of water a day. If you exercise on top of that, it'd be another liter for every hour of exercise. And that's important for proper hydration, which is important for the body to be able to repair itself, and for the muscles to function, and for not having tightness. Because before you injure yourself, you're going to have muscle tightness, and then you're going to have muscle cramps, and then you're going to have muscle injuries. So when a person is out of balance, the sympathetic or fight and flight is overstimulated, which is either because they're not getting enough sleep, they have too much stress, they're training too hard, their diet is poor. You see what I'm saying? And that's why it's so important that when, as hard as you guys train, that your recovery, your water intake, and your food has to be good. Because this person is breaking down more than they're building up. Exercises break down muscle tissue, sufficient sleep, and recovery time with correct diet, repair and build stronger muscles. Better, stronger, faster. And sleep deprivation, overtraining, dehydration, and malnutrition lead to declining performance and sports injuries. So the winter metaphor, the metaphoric act of resting, stands for retain, rest, and recover. What good is it to learn a lesson if we fail to remember and apply what we learned? What good is it to train harder if we don't fully recover before we train again? It's a waste. That workout is a waste. I don't come and work out myself. I work out in the mornings before I start working. I don't come if I'm too tired because I know I cannot work out harder than I worked out last time. And that workout is a waste of time. I sleep in more. You guys don't have that luxury because you have 3 months. You need to make sure you get good sleep. You need to make sure you quiet your mind. You need to make sure you hydrate. So finding stillness, a lot of athletes has a hard time with this. Learning how to turn off and relax and recover. I see there's a number of you that are sitting and your feet are going like this right now when we're talking. That is someone who has a hard time to be still. Imagine the energy you're wasting by the foot going like this. When you play football, your hand is not going like this when you're playing. When you're in the middle of doing something that is watching something in nature, your hand is not going like that. Or your foot is not going like that. When you're making love, your foot is not going like that. Because you're calm, you're present, you're in the zone. How can you get yourself to be calm, present, in the zone? How can you have the awareness when you're not calm, when you're not present, when you're not in the zone? So, in your strive for mastery of your sport, every day should be better than the last, in theory. Now, in practice, that's not always the case, but I should strive for that. Do you see what I'm saying? Today should be better than yesterday. Tomorrow should be better than today. That's how I grow. If today is not better than yesterday, it means one of the four. A, I didn't learn from my last experience. B, I'm not fully recovered with quantity and quality of sleep, nutrition, and water. C, I'm not fully committed or I lack desire. Or D, I'm not fully engaged, enjoying to compete. So always going to be one of those four. So if your one workout is not better than the previous one, it means one of those four. Which one did you mess up on? Do your job. We're giving you information. When you don't know, you're ignorant. Now you know. So, to summarize, the never-ending purpose. Every day, what's my desire? What's my commitment? Before every repetition, every set, what's my desire? What's my commitment? In the action of doing something, competing, am I engaged? Do I enjoy it? Am I fully into it? When the end result comes, can I focus on what I learn? Can I retain what I learn and recover and go back to the next set or the next day and do it even better? Do my job. An ongoing commitment to mastery and to enjoy the journey of that. So let's summarize all of this. This is an ongoing commitment to mastery, the way of excellence. We're talking about a metaphor. This is the metaphor of the 4 seasons. Spring, summer, fall, and winter is used to explain a metaphorical beginning, action phase, result and outcome phase, and rest and recover phase. The metaphorical spring stands for 2 things: fertilize and plant. What is fertilize? Fertilize is when the farmer takes the waste, the collected manure, put it on the field, and move the soil over so that what was wasteful and toxic becomes nutrients for future growth. In the same way, when you have done something more than once, you want to learn from your mistakes and you want to change your game plan. You're still playing to win, you're still playing to get the same end result, striving for excellence, but if something didn't work, you want to change the game plan. If it did work, then you keep working on it to perfect it and multiply it. So the spring stands for desire and commitment. It requires that you have a desire and then you commit to master whatever this is, realizing that this commitment is never ending. The summer phase, the metaphorical summer phase, stands for the time when you're actually in action, when you're doing it. In this phase, you need to be engaged and you need to compete. Competing means that you compete to get better. You compete to grow. You compete to learn. You compete to reach this goal that you have set for yourself, which is the mastery. Now, in this process, you need to do 2 things. Water. It means that you have to have a positive outcome and nurture those seeds that you planted. You have to believe in what you're doing. You have to enjoy what you're doing. And you have to weed out negative. You have to not spend time with people that are not sharing your view, that are negative. You need to avoid things that put you down, and you need to remove anything that interfere with your moving in the direction towards the harvest that you desire. Now, the metaphorical fall stands for acceptance, accepting the harvest. Things doesn't always go the way we expect it to. However, if you focus on what you learn, you always receive the harvest. So fall stands for the ability to accept that you did the best you could based on the state of mind you were in, based on what you believed was correct at the time, and that you learned from it. You learned from it regardless whether it worked out the way you wanted it to or not. And this way you always harvest, you always learn. The metaphorical winter stands for storing and preserving. That means that you retain and remember what you learn, and that you're able to rest and recover before you start a new cycle. So, I'm going to finish with a story. There once was a Shaolin priest or guru that was a protector of a village up in Tibet. This old monk knew all things. Everyone in the village came to him for advice. He was protecting them from bandits or robbers because he was also a master in Kung Fu. But he was the one everyone came to. There was a group of teenagers who were nasty and thought that this old guru was too full of himself. And they want to prove him wrong. They want to embarrass him in public. So they came up with this plan of, let's come up with a way of trick him, or make him wrong, make him look bad. So they come up with a plan, let's go out in the woods and catch a bird and go up to him, and then we hold the bird behind our back and ask him if the bird we hold behind our back, if it's alive or dead. And if he say dead, then we let it fly, and if it says alive, we break the neck and hold it up dead. So they had this plan, they were going to do it, they went out, they caught the bird. The guru was sitting in the town square, people was around him asking questions, and the teenagers came up, and now they were getting nervous. So they come up to the guru, they had their hands behind their back, and stuttering they say, "Old, wise and mighty one, is this bird that we hold behind our back, is it dead or is it alive?" And the guru sat and he pierced his eyes into them. And then he said, "The matter is all in your hands." And so now this information, this matter is now in your hands. You could set it free, or you could let it die. But it depends on whether you have the desire to not only understand it, but also to apply it and live on it on a daily basis. Not only for now till the combine, but after the combine. Not only for football, but after football for other things. Strive for excellence in your relationships, in your personal fitness and health and well-being, and in your purpose of what you desire to master in life. All right, so that is the end of this presentation. And what I want to do now was to do some question and answers, if anyone has questions. Because what I want you to understand is that not only does this affect your performance, whether you do this or not, it also causes you injuries. So in Chinese medicine, there's 12 meridians, which are basically like reflex points on your body, and they're like circuit breakers. And whenever your body is experiencing stress, in body or mind, those circuit breakers get overloaded. And this manifests as tension in muscles, which then leads to injuries. So you will see when I work with you later and help you feel better from your either restricted range of motion or injury or pain or stiffness or tightness, that it directly relates to the ability to follow and be on this path or this way or not. And that every single imbalance means that there's one of those 4 stages, or 5th, if including being present, where you actually failed and you keep falling off the way. Does anyone have any questions? Yes?
I got one. All right. You know, like us athletes, of course, you know, being in the zone, getting the work done, you know, that's the purpose. But also, you know, we like to have fun.
Yes.
Is it possible for us athletes to, you know, be in the zone and for a second, like I said, play around with each other, then get back in the zone?
Of course, of course. Having fun is part of the whole thing. If it's not fun anymore, why would you play a game? Even in life, life should be fun. People think of work as something they have to do. I don't think of my work as something I have to do. I love to do my work. I don't know the difference between working or playing. And so the same for you. You might have a grinding hard workout, but you could stop and you could razz your body. You could have fun, you could laugh, and you could go back into it again and try to compete and be even better, or be faster than him, or jump higher than him, or lift more than him. That's part of it. Having fun, that's being engaged. It's basically a labor of love. So there has to be joy in it. When there's not joy in it, then something is missing. Any other questions? Yeah.
At what age did you like find out to be at peace, to be in the zone, like just to lock in, like just to block out everything?
Well, I'm still working on it. I wouldn't say that I'm there all the time, and I don't know any person that's there all the time, but I see people that strive for it and they manage to be there for longer and longer period of times. When I work with my patients, I'm probably in the zone 90% of the time because I'm so focused on what's going on with them and what I'm going to do, and I get completely in the zone. When I'm giving this presentation, I'm probably in the zone 90% of the time. Once in a while I look back there to see when they tell me how much I'm behind, and then I kind of lose it a little bit, and then I have to bring myself back again. But that's the whole key, is to try to manage to be in the zone. How could you be in the zone when you brush your teeth? How could you be in the zone when you eat? How many people are just eating and watching their phone and whatever? How about if you just chew and taste the food? How much better is the digestion going to be? Do you see what I'm saying? How could you be in the zone when it's time to go to bed? Learn how to quiet your mind. Get a deep sleep to wake up feeling rested. Yeah. So that's, being in the zone is something you work on for a lifetime, and it's something that you learn how to connect to and get to faster. But the first step of being in the zone has to do with awareness. It's the awareness that I'm not at peace. I'm worried. I'm thinking about 10 things at one time. I'm stressed out. Oh, I'm not in the zone. Why am I not calm? What do I have to focus on right now? Start with your breathing. What do I have control over? What's priority? Focus on that, nothing else. So the key is the awareness of when I'm not in the zone, so I could put myself in the zone. A lot of times people are not aware. Most people are somewhere else all the time. They're not paying attention. They even lift and they're not paying attention. When you lift, you're supposed to breathe and feel the muscle contract and relax. It's almost like yoga or meditation. Whatever you're doing, everything should stop. Any other questions?
You mentioned something earlier about how everyone's doing their best in a given situation, and it seems like that accounts for like a little bit of ignorance, you know, and like how much do you feel that pre-preparation should
Well, but anytime you say in retrospect that you should have prepared more, you can't change it. You could only learn from it. I learned that I need to prepare better. But if you instead say, I'm an idiot because I didn't prepare, or people say, you suck because you didn't prepare. See, the only reason someone doesn't do their best is if they deliberately try to fail. But then in a way, they're doing their best still. So what I'm saying is that everyone is doing their best based on their state of mind. Some people are very scattered and they're not present, but they're doing the best they can based on being scattered and not being present. If they could learn from this, they could change and they could get better. If they don't learn from this, then they're going to keep repeating the same thing. And if you're on a team and you keep repeating the same thing, they're not going to play you. Do you see what I'm saying? So ultimately, there's a consequence and there's a result that comes with your result, with what you're doing. So if you keep doing that, you're not going to get picked, or you're not going to get played, or you don't get to start. And so you have to look inside yourself. How could I learn? What did I learn? If you're the victim, oh, the coaches suck, or everyone is against me, or if you beat yourself up, you're not learning. But when you learn, you remember what you learned, and you go out again, now you have a chance to grow and get better. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. So I think that concludes this presentation. The book is yours. The things I talked about is in the book. If we have time, I want to quickly just show you guys around a little bit. I know there's a game and people want to go. It's not essential, but at least I want to show you downstairs where the office is and show you where the facilities are when you do come here. Me and Dave are going to set up time because you guys are going to come and see me once every other week for an hour, and I'm going to work through your body to improve posture, improve range of motion, release muscle tension, and at the same time also work with your mind too, hopefully, on how you could be better. Any other questions about anything?
Thank you.